pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I ask you to just remain standing while Reverend William Crothers comes forward and gives our invocation tonight?
Let us pray. Gracious Father, we come into your presence this evening, and we are so thankful to be here on a day today. And we recently have remembered that great generation that began with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And so, Lord, we thank you for all of those that had served so faithfully and those that continue to do today. And in another way, this council and the citizens here doing the business of government also serve. And so, Lord, we just pray that you would just cause us to cast all our cares upon you and look to you for wisdom and guidance. Keep all those that are here this day safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Clerk, take the roll, please.
Councilwoman Gabarecki.
Present.
Excuse me. Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Cisco.
Present.
Councilman Hayes.
Present.
Councilman DeGiulio.
Here.
Pro Tem Keenan.
Present.
Treasurer Armstrong.
Present.
And Mayor Mategas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. I ask for corrections and approval of our agenda for tonight's meeting. Motion, please.
Motion.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Gabarecki, supported by Councilman Templin.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question. I had written Mrs. Folks, since she's the generator of these agenda anymore, and I'd ask her specifically to respond to me whether she could arrange to have the CBRE group here tonight. Having heard no response, I'd like to hear that response now, if I may.
Well, at such time as she comes on the agenda, let's wait for that time, please. I don't think it has anything to do with this agenda item.
Only that it's noticeably absent from it. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
So take that roll call, please.
Councilman DeGiulio.
No.
Councilwoman Gabarecki.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
No.
Councilman Keenan.
Yes.
Mayor Mategas.
Yes.
Councilman Cisco.
Yes.
And Councilman Templin.
Yes.
The yeses have it. The agenda passes.
Approval of the minutes of November 25th.
Motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Keenan, supported by Councilman Cisco. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That's carried. Approval of the minutes for the special meeting of December 2nd.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Gabarecki. Do I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Cisco. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Excuse me for writing here, but I just back writing. If somebody from the Downriver Runners will meet me down in front, please.
Run on up here, Lynn. Attaboy.
As most of you know, the Downriver Runners put on the program the running program for everyone that's able to walk. Can be in that run on Saturday of our street fair, and they've done it for many years. Great event, and must be 700 plus runners in it.
We had over 800 this year, and we made money we donate to the food banks and scholarships to kids that run in our area. And what we wanted to do is just say thank you to the city, because this is the 38th year, and every year Allen Park, police, fire, DPS give us a hand to do our thing. And so we really appreciate it. We wish it was more. Hopefully next year it will. We encourage everybody to live a healthy lifestyle. you know, and start your training now. Because August is gonna come up way before you know it. And we'd love to have everybody out there having some fun. Every Wednesday night, we meet at the Civic Center at 6:30 too, and have a little quick run and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm gonna go because I know you guys are so busy. Perfect. Thank you.
You get to do a lot of nice things tonight. It is a great pleasure to be here to recognize the contributions of each of you 18 committee members who have made the recovery of our city possible. Our emergency manager, Ms. Parker, created this committee within 3 months of coming to our city from recommendations of the council and elected officials of the city. Many of you I have known and worked with for well over 30 years. I know the love you have for our city and the concern you have for its problems. I believe the committee served two very worthwhile purposes, although only one is readily observable. And that observable purpose was to work with our citizens to develop a vision of the city as to what it must be to all who live, work, and visit here, and what we feel is valuable and needs to be saved and or developed. The second was less tangible, but I think equally important, as each of you provided friendship, insight, and encouragement to strangers, Emergency Manager Joyce Parker and our City Administrator Karen Folks. They were strangers to our community who had a difficult task to achieve. You gave them your knowledge of the city's culture, history, and its citizens' value. I believe it was very helpful in their achieving the success they had in putting our financial matters in order and putting us on the road to recovery. You 18 people represented city employees, past elected officials, educators, and a wide variety of vocations that I felt was very representative of our city. It was your committee work that helped us set us on a course to a better and sustainable future. Thank you, and I wish each of you and your families a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our former emergency manager who's with us tonight, and that's Ms. Joyce Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to everyone, Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the Advisory Committee, and residents here from Allen Park. I would also like to take this opportunity tonight to thank the Advisory Committee for their service over the time that I've served as Emergency Manager for the City of Allen Park. The Allen Park Advisory Committee was established, as the Mayor had mentioned, after coming on board around 3 to 4 months being in the position. And the purpose of the committee was to provide support and advice to the emergency manager, city council, city administrator regarding community initiatives, concerns, and planning for the future for Allen Park. The committee also serves as a liaison between the city and the community regarding community issues and service delivery. The role of the advisory committee basically sunsets, was supposed to sunset at the time that I transitioned out as emergency manager, but the advisory committee has been working diligently on a strategic plan for the city, and so as a result they continue to move forward with the development of that plan. Some of the projects that the committee has worked on include participating in the United for Allen Park Walk and Rally, and also provided support in terms of funding for the Walk and Rally. The committee participated in our town hall meetings during the time that I served as the emergency manager for Allen Park. The committee raised money for t-shirts, bumper stickers for the walk and the rally, and also provided their advice and recommendations related to the city's 2-year budget that was recently completed. And then most recently, they've participated in the process related to the strategic plan for the city. The committee again provided funding to support the costs associated with hiring a facilitator, hosting several community meetings, and developing the materials necessary to promote the process. The committee also provided a substantial number of hours meeting with boards and commissions to gain their support and comments in the final stages of developing the plan. The plan has been presented to the mayor and council for final approval and implementation, which I would recommend. And there's a number of advantages related to the city having a strategic plan. For example, it provides community comment and feedback regarding what should be considered as priorities related to service delivery and community improvement. It also provides community information that can be considered as part of the budget for the city and the development of a 5-year financial plan for the city. It provides for a methodology to track and measure performance relative to community needs. And it also provides a resource in terms of a document in the event that the city decides to apply for state and federal funds. So, again, I'd like to thank all of the members for their hard work and their diligence in getting the plan completed and providing support to both me as well as the city administrator. And in recognizing the work that the advisory committee has done, we have this evening certificates of appreciation that we'd like to present to the members. Okay, Jerry Richards, our chairperson of the advisory committee, and also Gail McLeod, who is the vice chair. Okay. Chris Paran. Dave Boomer. Pastor Pat Basio. Kip Horvath. Richard Hubler. Okay. How are you? Fine. John Kazoo. Kenneth Lieber. Okay. Kurt Mazak. Kathy Milberg. Okay. Doug Pretty. Cheryl Stan. Andre Torado. Andre here. Okay. Bob Turner. Mary Wallace. Linda Shovak. and Dr. John Sturrock. See here. Okay, can we give all of them a round of applause? Thank you again for a job well done. I really appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Mike. We go on to our public hearing tonight, and need a motion to
So moved.
move by
Support.
Councilman DiGiulio, supported by Councilwoman Gavarecki.
It was Councilman Hayes.
Hayes Gavarecki. Oh, Hayes. Excuse me. Do we need a roll call to go into public or just to come out? Okay, we will go into a public hearing, but we're going to have Mr. Kibbe present the block grant for the 2015 fiscal year.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Purpose of tonight's public hearing is to receive comment on the possible projects that have been proposed by the city and also receive suggestions for other projects that would be completed within the city's eligible block grant areas. The objectives that need to be met are benefiting low and moderate income persons, benefiting low and moderate income limited clientele persons, addressing slums and blight or low and moderate income housing benefit, and finally meeting a particular urgent community development need. The potential projects that have been outlined by the city at this point are for public improvements in the amount of, let me go back, start over. We're anticipating getting about $133,700 from the Wayne County Community Development Block Grant Program, and additionally should receive approximately $3,000 in program income. The program income is if there's a sale of a CDBG purchased property, previous purchased property, maybe a vehicle, or if there's been a lien paid off on a housing rehab. Those do come in once in a while. We haven't had a lot recently, but those do come in once in a while. So the allocation would be $136,700, broken down. Public improvements, $80,500. Public and senior improvements or senior services, $20,055. Administration, $13,145. Housing rehabilitation, $20,000. Housing rehabilitation from program income, $1,000. Demolition, program income, $1,000. And public improvements, program income, $1,000. Purpose of listing the program income allocations for those activities is that if we do have an activity that we want to do for that money that comes in as program income, you've already done the public hearing. So if there is a need for demolition, we have not done a demolition in the couple years I've been here, but if there is a need, you've already done the public hearing. You don't have to go through that step, so you can get the demolition done a little bit quicker if necessary. And the same on the other two activities. In the past, the public improvements have been used for roads and sidewalks. Looking to see that would probably be the same activity, although park improvements in the eligible area are as eligible as well. And the public senior services has been used in the past for the Guidance Center, the Senior Alliance, and community living services as well.
Thank you. Are there any citizens that want to come forward at the public hearing and comment? I see no one coming forward, so I'm going to close the public hearing and come to the council for their questions.
Have you, Mr. Kibbe, have you any applicants thus far for these available funds?
Where we would normally see the applicants are for the housing rehabilitation program, and we do have a list right now, although if residents do call in, we will add them to the list. Terry Capper has been working the housing rehab program for the city. He's done a fabulous job. We do have some funding available right now. Usually we see those for furnaces, some roofs,
Gutters and stuff.
things. Yeah, right now you're seeing a lot for the furnaces, as those are the need, because everybody's kicked on that furnace in the last few months and it hasn't kicked on for them. The money is available for them as long as they're income eligible. A single individual can make upwards of $39,000 and be eligible for the program. It's 80% of the median income of the county.
And as for public improvements, you mentioned parks, roads, and such, and we hear the outcry daily from our citizens about potholes and sunken catch basins and things like that. Is that something that Mr. Wilson, the DPS director, could propose to you that I could sure handle 80 grand right away?
Absolutely. I've been working with Mr. Wilson as well. But we had some money set aside for planning. He was able to use that funding to do some GIS in the eligible areas, which is the far east side of the city on the Lincoln Park border, probably from, I'm going to guess, maybe Paris to Ann Street in that general area, and then the far south end near Old Goddard is a new eligible area. So he has a list of areas in there that do need to be repaired. So we do have funding available for that.
And you're quite confident that all these $133,700 will be spent by, so we don't have to apply for another extension like we've done year after year?
Yeah, they've really cracked down on the extensions. The money from program year 12 has to be spent by August 1st of 2015, and the money for program year 13 has to be spent by December 31st of 15. Those are hard deadlines. We will meet both of those without any issue.
I mean, it was incredible to me that we would have money available to us to repair things that are broken, and we let them slide for 2 or 3 years. I never understood that.
I hate giving money back to the county.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman DiGiulio.
Is there a cap on the amount a person can get for their home repairs?
Yeah, right now, under the housing rehab, the cap would be $24,999.
Okay, and
Obviously, with the funding of only $20,000, that becomes a little hard, but there's other money available, and we go through and look for the most.
they pay this money back, correct?
Yeah, the way the program is set up is that there is a lien placed on their property, and when there is a change of ownership or a refinancing or something like that would trigger a change of in the lien process, in the lien order, then it would have to be paid back.
And there's no interest, correct?
No interest.
So just the amount they borrow is paid
Absolutely.
back.
So I've seen some communities that have had liens on properties for 25 years.
And a family of 3, what would that be?
Each additional person in the family roughly adds about $4,000 to $4,500.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council?
I have a question. Where do people go to find out where these eligible areas of public improvements are?
I don't have a map with me tonight, but I will be able to send a map over for the city if they want to post that up.
And we can put that on our website, possibly.
You've already got it, okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hear none, I'll take a motion.
Motion?
Motion by Councilman DiGiulio. Oh, we already have them on, don't I? Okay, I'll ask for the vote since there's no other questions. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried.
I will be back for one more public hearing, and at that time, I'll be asking for a approval for the actual projects.
Thank you. Since we finished the public hearing, and I know all the people from the advisory committee find this really the riveting part of their evening, but why don't we take 5 minutes, and if you want to excuse yourselves, we'll all understand it. It's the holidays. I'm sure we've got a lot of things that we've got to get done before Christmas. So, but thank you all again. Thank you for coming, and thank you again for your service. Okay.
Freezing.
Okay, Dennis, keep your seat warm.
That was it.
Were you doing a motion in support before we even had the discussion?
Well, I had the same
Esther,
two.
do you live?
And
I
then
live
took the
four,
vote, the same
four
two.
houses off Cowell.
Going towards Park or going towards Fox?
And that was the vote.
Oh,
The second vote was
Oh, I'm going toward Park, I'm sorry.
Going towards Fox?
the approval of the project.
The south side,
And it
north
was still
side,
the
north
Julio
side
Hayes.
of,
So you the odd numbers.
I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear. But
Even
now
numbers?
I said,
Okay.
because I heard a
Oh,
vote.
you're still at the top.
I'm on the same side that you're on.
I like that.
Still.
It was my,
I actually thought that Mark said it here.
It's like right on
can't move from where?
I never know what's done next way around.
What's
And if you
the-
tilt it,
I think the last time it was there, you were.
Can you hear me now?
You were here,
Is that what it is? Oh, that's
Oh.
not Christmas.
No,
I'll have to,
we can't move them.
I'll reflect it this way, right? Good. Oh, yeah.
You got her microphone.
I see Fred has like a work van, guys.
He works for, like, he works through Sears. What they do, what he
Repairs?
does, yeah. Like in the summertime, he was doing lawnmowers and,
So
like, if you.
gasoline motors strictly, or does he do electric stuff too?
No, he does, well, now he's working on, what did he say he was working on? Exercise equipment, garage door openers, snow blowers. You know, it changes with the season.
So it's
But he-
4 Sears.
Yeah, and
He's
I
like
think like
subcontractor?
Home Depot too, you know, like if you get the extended warranty or you buy something from them and you need some repairs to your refrigerator, washer, dryer, all that. But they have specific people who work on specific things,
Okay.
so. But he likes it, you know. He was laid off for a little bit there, like after the summer.
No, because-
And they called him back in November, so he's glad to be back with it.
It's too bad he couldn't sit.
Yeah.
It's like Megan, too bad she's not.
The city administrator will deal with it.
I mean, she misses everybody, she truly does. You know, she has a lot of roots here, and she misses everybody. But it's a good opportunity. You know, sometimes things like that just happen.
Right. There you're appointed, correct?
Yes.
I kind of think it should be that way here.
Huh?
I think it should be that way now in Park. Is that way with every regime?
It might change, you know? I mean, they tried to change it before, I think, for some of the positions. It might.
I think we should move everything down.
There you go. Now, does this,
Negotiate a trade?
you as treasurer, does this start building up a new pension for you? Or does it just add to your old pension?
No, my old pension is on the old ways. The new one is a 401k where I,
Just put in?
yeah,
The city does too, or no?
yes, the city does too.
So they match you to a certain percent, or?
We put in 5, they put in 7, I think. Now, I don't know for sure about the vesting, when you're vested, or what you can withdraw, you know, like after.
He's
Well, I was
just
thinking
right
if
outside
you're
the door.
putting it in, it's your
You
money.
can take yours, but I don't know about the city. Where the other one, I think we were putting in, back then, I think we were putting in 6%, the city wasn't putting in anything. The old man.
The last 6 or 7 years, I worked in a steel mill that we were allowed to put 10% away. The company didn't match us.
Yeah.
It was just trying to, but it was tax-free and.
Yeah, something, you know, I mean, if you can do it, it's good. You know, and if you just have it, take it out of your check, you never miss
You don't
it.
know.
Ready to go, Mayor?
Right, and you're not paying
Missing a
tax on that.
councilman.
Gave him 5 minutes if you need it, let's go.
And then
Well.
70 and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
They let you go the extra year.
Yeah.
But then you gotta take 2 following year to take out, so.
Be generous for Christmas.
So it's kind of exciting, I just started getting mine, so it's kind of exciting. Although I feel bad taking it, because, you know, I'd hope that'd be for my grandchildren, you know.
Yeah,
But,
that's hard, it's gonna be hard on the next generation, you know, you wonder what they're gonna do, just worry.
Call our meeting back in order. Next order of business is public comments. Before anybody from the public comes forward, I just want to go through our rules for speaking at our public meetings, an individual.
Mr. Mayor, I think you're,
You're jumping ahead there.
Oh, I eliminated the city administrator somehow.
I'll second that motion.
call for the vote.
All right, we have organizational business first, so
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me take you through the month's activities for November, and I'm going to start with the Department of Public Works, and in particular, as to our motor pool division, what is foremost of importance to us is our snow removal equipment. And so that is currently being serviced with repair work and preventative maintenance work. Also, the DPS department has put together a new plan for plowing and salting the city. This has to do with the major and the local roads. Part of the plan is to start with any road with a speed limit of over 25 miles per hour. That the city is responsible for the road maintenance. And then working around the schools within the city. And last, they will be plowing and salting intersections in the residential areas. Online training for the supervisors has already started and is going to continue as needed. During the winter months, DPS has started the tree trimming following the garbage routes, and we talked about that last month. And as of the early part of December, December 3rd, they have trimmed over 250 trees just during the month of November. The water department has completed the lining of the water main on the north side of E-Course Road. As you recall, there is through the DDA the E-Course streetscape project that has been in the works, and the DPS department, with the help of the vendor that is providing the service, they have coordinated the activities very well, and we have now started on the restoration portion of that project. The sewer department is maintaining all 10 sewer pump stations, and last month replaced one of the pumps at the sewer basin. We are currently reviewing the workflow in the sewer department and looking at the feasibility of establishing a SCADA system for all of the pump stations. The engineering department is continuing inspections on private property. We are reviewing other cities' engineering standards, as we talked about just briefly last month. The city of Allen Park presently does not have a particular standard in place, so we are looking at other cities, and we will be creating those standards for Allen Park. We have also started to use the new GPS equipment to create an asset management plan for the roads in that CDBG area that you heard about just a few minutes ago. The FEMA claims have been completed. There were 4 claim areas, and at this point, 3 of those areas have been completed. One has to do with the trash removal, the debris pickup, if you will. Also, the emergency services that were provided by personnel, as well as the other services provided through DPS, the fire department, the police department. And also there has been the replacement of electrical equipment at 2 of the pump stations. There's a 4th claim that is outstanding, and it's because there is still the accumulation of information, and that has to do with the Southfield lease properties. With our human resource operation, presently we have 1 new hire that is an arena aide. Her name is Diane Sturgill, and so she will provide services at the community center. Some of you have already received information regarding Tony Nichols out of the building department, who has tendered his resignation in favor of accepting an offer of employment in another city. And so we will be looking at filling that as well. 2015 open enrollment for health care has been recently completed. Also, the Medicare Part D plan year 2013 reconciliations are done. If you've checked our website recently, you'll see that there are 3 positions that have been posted for, and so our HR department is busy accepting and reviewing employment applications for a firefighter / paramedic, public service worker, and an ordinance enforcement officer, and that position is a part-time position. Also, our director, HR director, has been very helpful in facilitating insurance communications having to do with the FEMA claims. In the building operations, as you know, there are 4 critical areas where there are permits that are issued, and it generates certain fees for the department and helps support the operations of the department. So during the month of November, there were 42 electrical permits issued, which generated $6,469, 17 plumbing permits at $2,750, that's $2,750. Mechanical permits, there were 42 of those, generating $8,297, and 75 building permits, which generated $16,876, for a total of $34,392. There were no certificates of occupancy issued. There were 7 new registered rental property inspections that were done, and that of course generates fees too, and that was in the amount of $1,400. Also, there were 19 rental re-inspections. The Planning Commission did meet, and conditional approval was given pending parking variances for a new building to be located at 7617 Allen Road. The proposed new establishment is to be a retail showroom for event planning, business, and display area. The Zoning Board of Appeals had no agenda items, and I'm not sure that they actually had to meet. In follow-up on the Philomene property, I will indicate that at this juncture, there has been a great deal of remediation that has taken place. Balfour had been out there numerous times, have done everything that they needed to do, and they are now at the point where the owner has been informed that they have permission to re-enter the premises. Police operations for November included the police department receiving and fielding 1,236 calls for police services during the month of November. It resulted in 301 accident reports and the arrest of 44 individuals for a variety of offenses. We still have one injured officer who remains on workers' compensation, will be reevaluated in January. We also have a new hire, and that is Officer Zachary Nielsen. He has now completed the field training program and was assigned to a regular shift, which started November 30th. Notable events that the chief wanted to share with the community includes that beginning on Thanksgiving Day and running through Christmas, the police department once again will be providing traffic control services on select days up in the Fairlane Green shopping complex area. This will result in a spike in overtime expenses to the department. However, these expenses are completely reimbursed by the property management company for Fairlane Green once the service has been completed. Also related to Fairlane Green shopping complex, the chief was able to work with the Wayne County traffic signals to adjust the timing of the traffic light that's at the Oakwood entrance in order to move traffic in and out of the complex more easily than it has in the past. Additionally, there have been police lines installed at the traffic signals of both the outer drive and the Oakwood entrances. These lines can be accessed by the officers who work the traffic detail and allows them to control the cycling of the signals. That's going to help in clearing up the backlog of traffic jams. Hopefully these are changes that are going to mitigate the severe traffic jams that have occurred during past holiday season shopping. Fire operations include a number of meetings that the chief attended, including he attended a meeting of the Downriver Fire Chiefs Advisory Committee. And during November, at this committee meeting, he was elected its new treasurer in moving forward. There have been a variety of inspections, including a hydro test at 1555 Fairlane Circle, a C of O at the A&A Gas Mart, which is at 9121 Allen, the hydro test, the Roush Building, 828301 Enterprise Drive, and the CO2 extinguishing system acceptance test in the wind tunnel at 8000 Enterprise Drive. There were several fire investigations and fire call-outs during November, and that included a house fire on University, a kitchen fire on O'Connor, kitchen fire on Wall Street, and a possible arson on Belmont. They did have a couple of apparatus issues, and that included that Alpha 573 was down for 3 weeks because they needed to repair the siren. Also, truck 561 was repaired. Engine 551, there was a repair related to the check engine light. We do have about 5 officers that are still recovering from either duty injuries, they are on FMLA, or extended sick leave. And so that continues. Other activities include, there has been a fair amount of time that the chief has spent during November working on grant opportunities. In particular, he has submitted an AFG grant for a new ambulance, as well as a AFG grant for a new fire station exhaust removal system. He participated in the Allen Park Lighted Christmas Parade, also participated in 2 days of training on what is called their new Rescue Jack vehicle stabilization struts that were purchased in another cycle, grant cycle, with AFG grant opportunity. Also, you may recall there was a high wind event that occurred on the 24th of November that did cause some additional overtime due to higher than normal amount of downed power lines. There has been inspections from the deputy fire chief, and that includes a walkthrough at 7105 Allen. 2 fire investigations. One was the continued fire investigation at the Peluche Center, and then also one at 14629 University. The library has a very full menu of various activities that they conduct on a weekly basis. And Sandy Blakeney has provided us with just a glimpse of some of their programming during the month of November. And they have a number of storytime programs that are geared to various age groups, including toddlers and preschool, also a family story time. They have some book discussion groups that meet, and some of those are geared towards tweens as well as teens. They also have started a bi-monthly knitting class for teens, which has been very well received. They also put together a craft night for teens and adults, and that was well attended. They do a movie of the month, and they also have a mystery and suspense book discussion group, and they met during November as well. The community center and arena continue with their various activities. Some of you probably were at the November performance in our auditorium of Disney's Little Mermaid. And that activity brought in more than 650 residents and friends to watch these young children perform. Also, the remaining recreation programs and classes have continued and have maintained consistent enrollment. Also, some of them do have wait lists. With adult programming and senior programming, all of those have continued, and there appears to be an increase in all of the exercise classes. They also had during November a hoops event that was sponsored by the Elks. There was a Veterans Day celebration, and also, of course, the lighted Christmas parade. And I believe that SC made an appearance. That would be Santa Claus. With the parks, we have been involved in shutting down and cleaning up the parks for the season. And that has continued with water shutoffs and equipment removal. The high school has put quite a bit of work into Champaign Park's Gleason Ball Field, which is the #1 field, and they anticipate having it completely ready to go for the spring season in 2015. Various existing programs are being continually evaluated with basketball that is geared towards grades 3 through 12. And that's going to begin in January on Saturdays at the community center. There have been some problems with the existing program software, so we are reviewing that at this time. Also, there is the development of a 6-year capital improvement plan. The Henry Ford Academy and Cabrini High Schools have reserved much of the gymnasium time for basketball and volleyball, which has been very exciting to see the gymnasium used a little bit more. Fitness memberships, we talked about that actually over the last 2 months. And there has been an effort to make sure that folks are renewing their membership, and also an effort to bring more folks to the community center to obtain a fitness membership. And currently, the membership exceeds 400. We have had problems with the existing treadmills functioning the way we feel they ought to be functioning. All the equipment was evaluated by All Pro Exercise Company, and so one new reconditioned treadmill has in fact been ordered. The boiler, if you will, is original to the building, 43 years old, has given us some problems. There have been some repairs that have been made right now. Also, there are 10 rooftop units and 2 makeup air units that provide the HVAC to the community center, and they have not been functioning the way they're supposed to. So again, we have brought in individuals and we are evaluating it. Repairs are being made. Allen Park High School opened their hockey season with their annual Thanksgiving tournament, and I encourage all of you to stop by or connect with the community center for the various events that are upcoming, and that includes some of the programming that is going to be launched come January. Treasurer Armstrong has submitted a report because this is an important time of the year for a number of functions that occur in that area. And so I will ask Treasurer Armstrong to give you a glimpse of some of the activities that have been taking place.
I mailed out all of the tax bills for the winter season, the end of November. We printed them in-house again. We found that it would save us a little bit of money, so we chose to do it that way. Tax bills are due and payable through the end of February. February 28th is the last day that we can accept payment for any taxes. After that, it goes down to the county. Today, the assessing department met with the Board of Review, and there have been some adjusted tax bills that will have to be reprinted and mailed out to those taxpayers. I will be doing that probably the end of this month, or the end of this week, I'm sorry. With that Board of Review, there's also the possibility of refunds on tax bills that were paid in the summer, and those will be issued sometime within the next month. We are still waiting to be trained by the company that is going to be doing our credit card servicing, G2G Cloud Solutions. They are currently working on setting us up and getting all the departments in sync with the credit card. We were looking at a target date of December the 15th, but I think that's going to be pushed back some. We're hoping for possibly the week of Christmas that we will be up and running. And once we get that information out there, it will be on our website. We'll post it hopefully on our billboard out front and perhaps on our cable channels so that everyone will be aware of it. But definitely it will be up and running by the end of this month. And that's about it.
Thank you. I wanted to make mention of just one last thing, and that is the city did in fact receive a broker's opinion letter as to the value of the property on which we sit as a city hall and police operations department. And we have asked that the representative from CBRE come in and speak with us, and his availability is for Thursday, December 18th. He had no availability for this week. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I think I have concluded.
Motion to accept the report.
Motion by the Mayor Pro Tem. Supported by Councilman Cisco. Are there any questions?
I do, Mayor, if I could.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I guess more of just a statement than a question, probably more to Mr. Wilson, but since it's your report, I'll say it to you. But under DPS, under the plowing and salting, I would just be mindful, and with all due respect, I know neither one of you live here, so just to make sure that we're clear, I like the plan. However, I just would like you to give some special consideration to Rosedale, Pinecrest Park, and Reek, which are main thoroughfares through the city that are all 25 miles an hour. So I would think that the 4 of those roads should have some consideration before we go into the more residential roads that are less used. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman DiGiulio.
Okay, a couple of questions, Mrs. Folks. Now, we start our tree trimming in November, is that correct?
Actually, I think we started in October, if I'm not mistaken.
But how do we know which limbs need to be trimmed? I mean, everything is, the leaves are gone. My whole tree looks like it should come down, but I don't want it down.
What we've been doing is we follow the garbage route and come behind them. So, for instance, if in fact the tree trimmers came down your street, let's say on Tuesday, got so far, and that's as far as they got, understand they'll be back the next Tuesday, and we'll continue and pick up from where they left off. And so what they try to do is they look at the tree, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wilson, but they look at the tree and limbs that appear to be in the way of any of the wires that are in place, overhanging the road that appear to be potentially dangerous. All of those kinds of things guide the trimming a little bit more than just the aesthetics of it.
Okay.
Is that a fair statement?
12 to 14 feet high.
Excuse me?
12 to 14 feet high.
12 to 14 feet high.
Okay, and how about the inspection of private properties now? We're going to do inspections on people's homes from the outside, or what? What is that?
Well, I don't think that would be DPS.
No, but I'm just asking, that's another question. You know, you had mentioned we're going to start inspecting people's homes? Or is that just right? You know, it says here inspection on private property. That's what you said.
And that has more to do with the trees, the limbs, other matters, including perhaps debris. Anything else that I've missed?
Okay.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of complaints on the equipment at the community centers, so something will be done to repair some of that stuff?
Yes, that's what we were talking about, is the repairs are underway.
They're underway? Okay. And 7617 Allen Road, is that a new building or just a business going into an existing building?
You know, I will admit, I haven't gone by there, and so I can't answer that specifically, but if I remember correctly with my conversations, it appears that it could be a new building.
So they're going to build a new building. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to see that going on in Allen Park. Okay, and I just want to wish Tony Nicholas the best. He's been a good employee, and he's a good man, and I wish Tony the best. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Hayes.
I noticed that your report, let me just preface this by saying we're all very pleased that you're reading these reports from the department heads. I think maybe what we'd like to hear further is a report from you as to the kinds of things that you perform during a given month or whatever. That might be helpful for us to get a bigger picture. This helps, but But you did mention that the fire department has 5 people who have been on extended leaves, which will, of necessity, cause an increase in overtime. And as you well know, I've written you numerous times about getting the overtime reports vis-a-vis the budgeted overtime so as to understand where we stand. Because I don't want to have a repeat of last year where we had to amend the budget twice for the fire department and once for the police department because we were so far over budget and overtime. So, and furthermore, you mentioned that there'd be an increased overtime due to the wind event. So this just redoubles my concern about the fact that that was a great report that we finally got, and we got it for several months running, which showed overtime, budgeted overtime, plus or minus, above or below, and that was very helpful. I think once we got that report, we began to see a decline in overtime because I think people understood that we were paying attention to it. So I don't know what the resistance is to generating that same exact report. Now, the report I saw tonight does reference, I think, a total of $44,000 worth of overtime for the month of November amongst all the various departments, so I can't pinpoint whether it's police, fire, or otherwise. But that's not as easy to ferret out as that simple report you made before. I don't know if the departments did it themselves and gave it to you and you forwarded it or what. But I would like, and I would ask you again in this forum, since I don't get an answer to my email request, if you would kindly send us that, or would you commit to sending us that same kind of report? Because you'll recall, it was Mrs. Parker who authorized that, and I think directed you to send it out every month by the 10th. So would you commit to do that, I wonder?
Well, first of all, she did not direct that be sent out. She herself actually took it upon herself to send that to you. But the one thing that I do want to make mention of is the overtime is reflected in the reports that you did receive, and it shows up in the departmental payroll summaries, if you will, so you actually have it there. The second thing that I would mention is Bob Cady kindly puts together a summary of the financials during a particular month. And what he does is he gives you a heads up as to any variances by 20% and then explains why there are variances. And so you also have that information at your fingertips. And so I pass that on and just make mention of that.
Well, let me just submit that I think I could produce an email, and I will, if I can locate it, where Mrs. Parker said that you would submit that every month on the 10th. But, and furthermore, if the format of the reports is going to vary every month or every quarter, it's kind of hard. I don't have all. I'm not an accountant, and it takes me a little while. I'm kind of slow. I'm not very bright like some of you all, but I try my best to get the information out of here. But if you're going to change the format, and yes, Mr. Cady did indicate a couple departments that were 20% over, but it was three areas. I think it was admitted, it was mayor and council was 20% over, how God only knows, and a couple others. So I mean, that's kind of disingenuous to think that that's going to help us know what's going on. I'm asking for a very reasonable, simple thing that's a very costly thing. If the mayor and city council are 20% over, that might only represent $10,000 over the whole year. If the fire and police are over 10% in overtime, which wouldn't hit that 20% marker, that could represent $100,000, $200,000 in a year. So I'm talking about key issues. And then finally, if I may, because I think you're probably the one who's going to have to follow this through, the issue with the advisory committee, I am told that that group has been dissolved. Is that correct?
There was a sunset provision, I believe, in the statement of purpose, and so it sunsetted, if you will, when the emergency manager transitioned out. However, they took a little bit of time to finish up those activities so that we have the product that I think this council has seen actually a couple of times and continues to help guide us. As a matter of fact, one comment that I would make is, as you know, we shared with you that the city applied for the Distressed Cities Grant. And we asked for a sum of money to assist us with a new build for City Hall. And what we were able to do, now that the advisory committee led us through such a great process and produced on the backside such a great community-wide strategic plan, we attached that. And it indicated that that ask, if you will, through the application was consistent with the goals reflected in that strategic plan. So I wanted to make mention of that too.
Well, let me just suggest, if I may, with all respect, that your own self-appointed facilitator, note-taker, Mr. Hal Stack, admitted that that was not a strategic plan. Mrs. Parker tonight said, quote, they're working on a plan. Then she said they presented a plan that we approved, which I don't recall approving any plan because there is no plan.
Councilman Hayes, come on. It has nothing to do with our motion.
Well, she's the administrator, Mr. Mayor. This is her report, and if she wants to read a bunch of reports from other departments, that's not really her report. I need to hear from the administrator.
So you said that you wanted to hear from her, and she has responded to the extent.
She made a statement that is not correct, and I'm going to challenge it.
Well, you challenged it, and we'll move on.
Well, I'm not finished, if you please. So I want to just make sure that the citizens understand we have no strategic plan. We have some notes. We have some grouped items that make up maybe the rudiments of a plan. At some time, they may evolve into a plan. But at this present moment, we have no strategic plan. And I just want to make sure, because at the last meeting I watched on TV, Mrs. Folks once again said we have a strategic plan. There is no strategic plan. According to the very guy who ran the show for these wonderful volunteers that contributed their time and talent to coming up with lists of things that will eventually, possibly, if the committee still exists, evolve into a strategic plan. I just want to go on the record, make sure everybody's clear on that.
Okay. You're on the record.
Mayor. Thank you very much.
Mayor, do you want to respond?
I would, actually, because I want the community to fully understand and appreciate all the work, the really hard work that the committee did. And in July, it was presented to the mayor and council. And following that, there was another meeting where the recommendation was to adopt it. And so there is, in fact, a community strategic plan in place. It has been rolled out to each of the lead organizations, boards, and commissions. We have a number of excited commissions and boards that are already involved in delivering on the goals under those various topic areas and goal areas, if you will. And the example that I just mentioned is truly a real bonus for the city to be able to use that to support our grants, our grant applications, and the work that our departments are doing, as well as the various boards and commissions.
Mayor, just in an effort to
Mayor Pro Tem Keon,
to be helpful here, if maybe to help Councilman Hayes, if you go to the claims and accounts, there's a payroll report on there.
I saw that, Bob.
Yeah, so you got right here under fire overtime, $14,749.17 for the month of November.
And I have no idea what their budgeted amount is, so that's the problem.
We have the budget, but I just want to make sure.
I know, but we used to have a report that
I think
had
I have the
both.
floor. So I'm just letting, I didn't know if you saw that, because I missed things too.
Okay.
I was letting you know that you made the statement that we have not received that information,
No.
yet I see $14,749.17. Thank you.
sure. We'll get to those items. Do I have any other questions by council? I'm going to call for the motion to accept and file the updates and reports, please. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Councilman Hayes has voted no. The motion is carried. All right, now we are at public comments. I tried to rush along. Before we come up to the public, I'd like to go through our rules for the speaking. Individuals may only speak on an issue after the individual has been recognized by the chairperson. Comments from the floor shall be made at the podium at the front of the council table or at such other areas designated by chairperson. Prior to an individual speaking from the floor, the individual shall identify themselves and state their street address for the record. All comments shall be directed only to the chairperson. Speakers are not to address other members of the council or members of the audience. Each member of the public may speak for up to 4 minutes. All written statements should be given to the city prior to the meeting so that copies may be made available to the members of the public body. No individual shall be allowed to make any defamatory attack or invasion of a person's individual life. There shall be no questions, comments, discussions, or attacks regarding anybody's personal life. The chairperson shall immediately rule out of order any person who begins to bring up such issues. The chairperson does not, any member of the council may call by a point of order that the person be ruled out of order. If the person is not ruled out of order by the vote of the council, then upon that person completing their comments, the person who they've spoken about shall have an immediate right to rebut. For purposes of these rules, as they relate to elected officials or city officials, the term personal life shall refer to anything other than that which is said or done in the person's official capacity as an elected official or in the person's official city capacity. Members of the public body may question the speakers, but the members of the public body are not obligated to answer any questions or make any statements on the issue raised or discussed by the speaker. And issues may be referred to the appropriate body, department, or individual for investigation and review. No person or group shall be allowed to disrupt the meetings or proceedings. Any individual who fails to comply with these rules after having first been warned by the chairperson to cease such actions shall be ordered by the chairperson to leave and/or be ejected from the meeting. With that, if there's any citizens that wish to come forward and comment, please.
Good evening, Kathy Milberg, resident, retread. I only stayed because I submitted a letter and I wanted it to be officially on the record that it's an inquiry. I'm asking for a written response. And I have a question real quick about how long will that take to get a written response in regard, without getting into the details of the request for information.
If you'd like to give me a call at my office, more than happy to help.
I really, it's a written outline. I need a written response. So within a month's time, we would like to begin to work on this in January. So we need direction that we're asking for within this, unless you would like me to get into the details of the letter. And I guess I was like so enthused and everything. I am so happy that many of the advisory groups left before the comments that were made. I don't know, Dennis, could you ask through the chair, would Dennis like this certificate of appreciation returned to him for all the incompetency and whatever else he's expressed towards the group of retreads that gave of their time and their money and their talent for the city of Allen Park. And so I guess it just seemed like a slap in the face after this. I'm not feeling it's a very sincere, certificate, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman, since Mrs. Milberg chose to invoke my name, I'd like to respond.
Sure.
I think if you listen carefully, Kathy, I said I thanked them for their service. All I said was, I didn't criticize your group. In fact, I praised your group if you listen to me, and you listen to it on the tape tomorrow. What I said was, what the product that you developed is not a strategic plan. And your own advisor, Mr. Stack, in July, when we met at Stoutzenberger, the one that we supposedly adopted, I asked him that very question. If you were there, you heard me. And he said, no, this is nowhere near a strategic plan. It could become one with time and development. But this is just the brainstorming ideas, the fundaments of a plan that have to be pulled together and developed into a plan. And since your committee is now dissolved according to your membership, I don't know how that's going to happen. That's all I said. Now, if you want to interpret it some other way, that's up to you. I can't control that.
Chair, do I have to state for the rebuttal in the rules?
No.
Okay, all right. Listen, you guys, be blessed. Have a safe, wonderful, love-filled holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I recognized?
You are, Mr. McGusson.
Ray McGusson, citizen of Allen Park, Quant. Just a couple of things. I'd like to personally thank and recognize the advisory committee. Hardworking individuals, but I also like to recognize the ones who were on the committee who dropped out and who were not recognized today for their own reasons, why ever they dropped out. But I want to thank them for all their hard work that they put in, day in and day out probably, a number of meetings that they worked on, and a number of projects they tried to get passed. They did this on their own. They did it for free. And a lot of them spent their own monies. And when it comes to those individuals, I personally want to thank them. And I'd like to wish them a Merry Christmas since they are not here. I also would like to go ahead and ask at this time that the City Council will look at their agenda and please change it. I would love to see citizen comments move to the end. You're halfway through, or maybe not even halfway through the agenda, and you already got citizen comments. You have things that are happening after this, and we don't even know what you're going to be talking about. I don't see the big deal. The State of Michigan review team has citizen comments listed at the end of their agenda. That's the perfect time to put it. At this time, through the chair, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and ask Ms. Folks, has the city received the money from Wayne County for our parks?
That is a reimbursable grant, and so when we conclude all the activities, then the remainder of that will be sent in and we'll receive.
Okay, so we have not received all the monies.
It's a reimbursable grant.
I understand that. So is that reimbursable money on our budget?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. It's in our budget. It's not, we haven't received it yet, but it's in our budget. So what you're trying to say is that we had to go ahead and spend the money first before we received it. Is that correct, Ms. Folks?
That's correct.
Okay. Simple things. Please try to change the agenda. I don't see the big problem with this. I really and truly don't. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Marvin Susky, 15894 O'Connor, Allen Park resident. I was up here a couple weeks ago, and I thought to make a comment. I didn't come up here to fight. I didn't come up here to argue, and I certainly didn't come up here to be embarrassed. And I want to say something that I think everybody in this room knows. In the United States of America, if a person willfully defends the Constitution, obeys the laws, the rules, and the regulations of this nation, and pays taxes, they have the right, not the privilege, but the right to voice their opinion in a public forum without fear of reprisal. So that's what I got to say. And then there's also a term in the vernacular said, if you don't vote, you can't beef. I voted for a number of you people up there, and I'm disappointed, especially in your silence. it says something like you're disconnected to the community. And I want to say something a little bit different. I took the advice of a couple of these people up here, and I went and checked the webpage for what happened with the results of the vision meeting, and all I found was some pie charts. I mean, what is that? I mean, what it was. Then I went and seen Mr. Hawkins, and he told me that there's no money budgeted. You know, there's nothing for the community. He's got to make money wherever he goes. There's no money budgeted for that. And he's like me. He says he agrees with me that kids should play on playgrounds. And also, he said that he can't promise me nothing. No, so that's it. There's also another statement in the vernacular that says you can't fight City Hall. I believe it. I mean, I think I'm done. And I want to say something about the Allen Park marching band. They didn't win, but they got well over 70,000 votes, and I think that's pretty good. I favor Allen Park, and you know, like I say, I'm done.
My name is Robert Turner, a little on North End. I got 4 topics. We'll start with the easy one first. Since Tony Nichols has resigned, he was my contact for that future gun range over by Thunderbolt. I would think this would be a hazardous building now. So I'd like for somebody to look into that and see if they can correct the problem. Just a compliment. The community center does look real good. Next one is, I'm sure you can't answer this, but I'd like to get an update on the legal process of the retirees' health care. I know it's been in court, and I think it's going through one court, and I think it's going to higher court, but I don't know. This is just street talk. So that potentially represents about $500,000 cost for the budget if this doesn't resolve in the city's favor. Next topic. I was here at a council meeting during a process on the South Lease property. And we're still seeing negative results of that. In the last month or so, there's been discussion of selling the old City Hall property and building a new City Hall. Just based on some current media information, this process doesn't smell very good. Okay, we got 4 attorneys up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 attorneys. As a citizen, I'm gonna hold these 4 attorneys responsible to be sure the City Hall is done right. Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Good evening, everybody. Al Wojcinski, Vine Avenue. Okay, 2 kudos. Thank you to the members of the Downriver Runners for their donation, and congratulations and thank you to all the members of the advisory committee. Okay, now we go on to the hard stuff. I heard that Mr. Wilson say that the salting will be on the streets with a speed limit over 25. And as Mr. Keenan said, we do need to have special attention done to Reek, Park, and Rosedale. Was there one more street you had, or just 3?
Pinecrest.
Pinecrest, thank you. And also, in regards to the salting, are we going to salt the side streets and plow the plow the side streets this year? Are we or are we not?
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Maybe we should wait until he's finished. Maybe
Please
you
wait
wanna
till I'm
finish
finished.
your- yeah.
Yes. And, okay. And good luck to the gentleman that left. From what I understand, he's getting a much better job, pay, and benefits. And I am also surprised that more employees don't leave Allen Park because of our pay scale and benefits. Also, can we have council comments tonight? Please. And in regards to what Mr. Hayes brought up, what about getting the CBRE assessment? And again, where is Mr. Bogie and the group? I need those answered, please.
On the 18th, CBRE will be here at our regular meeting.
On December 18th.
Right.
What about Mr. Bogie?
That will be ongoing negotiations between the city administrator and the Bogie Group.
So in other words, we won't know what's going on.
Until it's brought back to us with some process.
Oh, okay, also, in regards to the new city hall, when we build it, will the new city hall have an auditorium?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That was a question a couple people brought up to me. Are we gonna have an auditorium? And in regards to moving, are we gonna save some of these pews when we move? Because they're comfy.
Were you looking to take one or two home? Just asking.
No, just put them in a new building so, us old folks can enjoy our seating. But really, I would like to know more about the Bogie Group and council comments tonight. And again, I'll repeat what one of the other speakers said. This agenda is just counterproductive. We need the old agenda back. And with that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully, oh yes, and thanks to Tom Wilson and his crew for putting the new marquee sign up. I brought that up to Mrs. Folks and didn't get a call back, but when I was driving this morning, I saw it and I said, okay, thank you, bye-bye.
Mr. Wilson, you want to answer the question that he had asked? Don't ask me to repeat it because now I can't remember it.
Plowing the side streets.
Plowing the side streets.
Currently, the plan is to do all major roads. We pointed out the 35-mile-an-hour ones because they'll be first, but Pinecrest is a major road under the state law. So is Wick, so is Week. So those roads are one of the first ones to be done. And then, again, it's the major roads. We are going to start with a 35-mile-an-hour as the speed limit is conducive to us getting some salt down and making them safe. There is a plan to salt all, or to plow all the side streets when they become impassable. So when we have a small amount of snow, we don't intend to plow, but when a larger snow, we intend to plow. We do intend to salt intersections so it makes it safe for people to stop. When you're traveling at less than 25, it's a pretty easy call to make, but after that, we'll get in there and make sure everybody can get in and out, get to work, so they can help pay their taxes.
Do you have a definition for impassable number of inches or anything?
It typically runs between 3 and 4 inches. Again, it's a cumulative number, so it could be a half inch that would trigger us to get in there. I drive around almost every morning in town, different directions, looking at different things within the city, and that'll be my job to keep an eye on those roads and make sure that they're passable. And of course, we have 3 supervisors that can do that also for me.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, just to ask you one question, if it's possible, to the chair.
Councilman?
Is that, a lot of the main roads, a lot of the streets that go to the schools, are those being paid special attention to?
Absolutely.
Because, I live on Cortland, and that's one of the main streets that everybody goes to the high school to, and Benny also. So will those streets around those schools be given those kind of special attention?
Yeah, we did point that out in my report, that the ones around the schools would also be the second ones. The first ones are major roads. Second ones are those things around the school where people park on. We've noticed that, and of course my supervisor pointed it out, that they've put a plan together. I can bring a map back to you if you'd like to see it, but we put a plan together to more take a look at the needs in the community. So the major roads, and then we're going to hit around those schools because that's really important. People walk their kids, they get out of their cars, they're sliding and falling. So we'll get that done next second, and then the intersections and plowing the residential last.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Greg Worth, Reek Road. First of all, I hope that we don't have to worry about plowing the streets this year, especially after what we had last year. Secondly, just saw on Fox News, I haven't looked at it in detail, but I understand there's 2 proposed budgets at the state level that are being discussed right now. And the way I understand it is, one of them is going to cut, or they're proposing what I think what they're calling reimbursable cuts, which means they're going to cut the funding and then reimburse them if we get the money, if they get the money to reimburse those cuts at a later point in time. And I'm just wondering if the body here has looked into those budgets, the impact that it's going to have on our local funding and also the school funding for Allen Park, because those are the 2 areas that was indicated that there would be cuts in the budgets. And I would ask that you as our leaders give us some direction on how we can help you to send a message to the proper people in Lansing to maybe reconsider on those things, because we know at our level what we can afford and we can't afford, and we can't afford any cuts. We're already facing, a lot of adversity in the city, and I'm sure many of our counterparts are doing that too. So could you work with maybe some of the communities, and again, as a voice, send a message up to Lansing as to what the right thing is to do, okay? Maybe, I was looking at our website, maybe put our contact information at the state level on our website, maybe under the quick links area, okay? And also, and I don't want to raise any controversy, but there was talk about a strategic plan. Can we get that posted out on the website too? So we can see that and we can review it and see how we as citizens can, again, help and provide our input and our energies to get Allen Park to where it needs to be and where it used to be. And then secondly, and most importantly, I'd just like to thank the Allen Park Police Department. You know, as a body, what they've been facing over the last few years. And, not only what they face every day. If you've ever ridden with a police officer, you understand the disrespect and the challenges they face every day, but also what they could face in their line of duty. And I'd just like to say thank you and ask the citizens of Allen Park and this body here to also thank them and maybe wish them a happy holiday, when they see them on the street. Just do something like that, because they have a tough job and they've faced a lot of tough times recently. So I think we need to thank them. But also thank the DPW. They've been on many water repairs, very responsive, great job. I think they've done a wonderful job, so thanks to those 2 departments especially. But let's get this team together and work together. You as leaders, us as, the people that can provide additional energy and input, and let's come up with the ideas how we can do that, okay? Thank you very much.
See no other citizens coming forward, so at this time we'll go to the consent agenda. What I'd like to ask the council, there are 7 items there. Those items that they would like separated out, if they could let me know at this time. Anybody on claims and accounts? Payroll report?
Mayor, on the claims and accounts, the first one I got this week here was from last month. So I didn't really get to see the claims and accounts from tonight. They were a repeat sent out.
I'm sorry, it was sent out yesterday, but...
Okay, but the wrong one was sent out
Okay.
first. So...
Payroll report, anybody want that separated out? Finance overview, budget to actual report, balance sheet for the November, cash flow for November, and of course, Mr. Hamarigans curbside pickup.
Motion for the consent agenda.
Okay, moved by Mayor Pro Tem Keenan. I'm sorry, who supported down here?
Councilman Templin.
What? Councilman Templin. And heard no questions, I'll ask
I
for
have
the
a
vote.
question, I didn't hear you ask for it. I just wonder if, because of the critical nature of finance, I wonder if we could, rather than just rubber stamp these things, I mean, tonight we have no choice, but I wonder if it wouldn't be advisable to have Mr. Cady here for some of the points I made earlier, changing formats and such, and I'd like to be able to ask him specifically some questions that I don't think we can have answered here tonight. So in the future, I'd just ask if that'd be considered for some future agenda. Thank you.
Right. All in favor of the motion, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's carried, thank you. We're down to resolutions. A motion for the wastewater disposal service contract. And we want a motion first, Mr. Clerk, before we ask the people to come forward and present, or?
Either, generally.
We'll take the presentation first and then take the motion.
When it's something like that, you could.
These poor
So I
guys
don't
are
know,
about ready.
I don't
'Cause
know
you're
who
not
we have out there.
deliberating.
Is there, Mr. Wilson, you want to come up and introduce the gentleman from Detroit Water and Sewer?
Sure you don't want to listen to us talk for a little while longer, we can oblige.
I'm gonna
Hey,
let,
they've been going through quite a lot here for the last 18 months themselves, so I'm sure they,
they've had the enjoyment of what we've enjoyed so far too, so. I'm gonna let them both introduce themselves. They have different titles than I'm used to, so I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and then they can go ahead and do the presentation. If you have any questions, we can answer.
thank you.
Good evening. Rafael Chirola with the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department's Financial Planning Division.
Good morning, William Wolfson, or good evening. William Wolfson, Chief Administrative Officer, Chief Compliance Officer, General Counsel, Detroit Water and Sewerage Department.
He has a longer title.
King of titles.
All right, we didn't realize we were doing a presentation, but we can briefly go over this contract. It's pretty thick. I'm sure you realize that.
If I can help direct this perhaps, I know that this has been, about 18 months to 2 years in the making. And perhaps you can speak just a little bit to the process, why it was necessary, and then some of the key provisions of the contract and the other communities that have already signed.
Okay. All right, so what you have here is, it's actually been more than 2 years. It's been quite a few years in the making. You guys are with us on the water model contract, and you've probably, some of you here have approved various reopeners. We've done one, I think, even last year with you, potentially. So this is the model sewage contract. Same idea. We're trying to get all our wholesale customers on the sewage side to get in on this new model sewer contract. The main thing we went through with this is just getting the language right. Same process, got all our customers together, said, hey, what do you want in the contract? It's not like your current contract from 1974, which basically says, hey, we're going to take some of your sewage and treat it. You're going to pay us for it. This gets a little more involved in, setting up, in essence, what our roles and responsibilities are. It also, kind of on the water side, we have the Technical Advisory Committee, which is the representatives of our wholesale customers, sets up that advisory board. On this side, we have what was called the Steering Committee, which is the sewer equivalent. So that's kind of codified in here and shows, it stays in existence as long as we have this contract with our customers. This is a 30-year contract. Most of our older contracts are indefinite up to like 50 years. Depends on they're all over the place, and we're trying to get everybody on one. I mean, it's just like the water side, there's too many different contracts out there, so having one contract makes it good. Also, having one contract and the new contract, because a lot of our customers on the sewer side, just like on the water side previously, we had a lot of contracts which were past their initial term. So our bonding agencies didn't like seeing that, in essence, one party or the other could say, hey, I'm giving you 1 year notice that I'm not going to be a customer of yours anymore. It becomes the issue of, can you even generate enough revenue to pay our bonds back, right? So, same idea here on the sewer side. The main things here is everybody has the same contract. There's only a couple of things that distinguish Allen Park from, say, Centerline or Wayne County, Rouge Valley, or anything else. You're a metered customer. As a metered customer, you have a flow limit because you're master meter. That flow limit in this contract is 10.6 cubic feet per second. As you may know or may not be aware of, you have a memorandum of understanding from 2005. In that memorandum of understanding, you had a flow limit that was upped to about 15 cubic feet per second to allow you to make these improvements in your system to reduce your flows into our system. As part of that memorandum of understanding, it was you were expected to get your flow down to 10.46 cubic feet per second. We negotiated a 10.6 cubic feet per second in this contract. All right. There's also Exhibit A. Exhibit A shows your Allen Park specific service area, your connections to our system. You come into our Northwest Interceptor, and it defines who is responsible for what in very nice detail. So, in essence, you're responsible from everything outside of the actual interceptor, except our master meter pits for your two master meters, APS 01 and 02. So those meter pits are our responsibility. Everything else outside of the interceptor is your responsibility, basically. So that's what this contract, the rest of this contract is all about what remains of our various rate settlement agreements that are still in effect, and what we call this rate simplification process we started with our customers a couple of years ago. So this kind of codifies and it lays out how your rates are set, in essence. It's a little more involved than on the water side. The water side only says they'll be fair and equitable. This, in essence, all these pages say how it's going to be fair and equitable. All right? That's the major difference.
Better let Bill talk so I can live up to that title.
No, I really, thank you, I appreciate that. But I don't have a lot to add. I think the important things to add is that this is the same contract as the majority of our customers that have entered into. We have 4 that are remaining outstanding. It's developed through a customer engagement process. The contract is materially the same for all. And the rate simplification that was adopted by our Board of Water Commissioners last December really gives a set share to every community, so it's easier for the local communities to plan and budget. And it was something that was done through extensive customer engagement. We can talk a minute about the city's bankruptcy if there are questions about that. If not, then we need not. The city is emerging from bankruptcy. The plan of adjustment has been confirmed. The effective exit date is likely to take place in the very near future, at which point the emergency manager will leave. As part of that, there has been a memorandum of understanding signed and articles filed for the Great Lakes Water Authority that will provide services to the regional customers, our wholesale customers such as yourselves. We are engaged in transition discussions to make that happen. Likely in the near future, the articles haven't been filed. Sometime before the end of the year, you're likely to see the first meeting of that body. This contract does provide a successor clause, so it will transfer over to that body should it take over operations.
Council have any questions for the gentleman?
I might.
Councilwoman Gavricki.
Thank you. I was just wondering, you said other communities are signing off on the same contract?
Yeah.
Other communities around here?
I can read the list.
Or who do you have outstanding?
Well, I'll read the list of ones that did sign.
Okay.
And I'll tell you which ones haven't signed.
Oh, that's fine. I just...
Yeah. Well, hopefully Allen Park, right, as of tonight. Centerline. You have Dearborn's getting ready too.
Okay.
So Dearborn's a pretty substantial customer in our system. City of Farmington, City of Grosse Pointe, City of Grosse Pointe Park, Hamtramck, Harper Woods, Melvindale, right next door, right? Our largest customer, wholesale customer, the Oakland Macomb Interceptor Drainage District, they're on, and Redford Township.
Thank you.
The ones that haven't, Rouge Valley, Wayne County Northeast, Evergreen Farmington District, and the Coon District.
Thank you.
Grosse Pointe Farms
And
and Highland Park. Highland Park has not had a contract, as you all may or may not know. We're in litigation with Highland Park. We've taken a fairly large judgment against them, and now we have to figure out how to collect it.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Judgment's the easy part.
Thanks.
So are you looking for a motion, Mayor, to?
Well, I've got two questions of them before we, I noticed that we have all the counties signed on. Was this part of the new deal with the Detroit Water and Sewer System to transfer it to that authority, and then we have an obligation, I thought, over 20 years under the settlement plan to pay you back $140 million and?
No.
No?
No, what I think you're looking at is Exhibit E, if I'm gonna guess. I can't quite see over there. And that's rate simplification. The counties were all signed on to that as a part of that process. It was part of our customer engagement.
Okay.
So the local communities were involved and really drove that process, and the counties came to the table.
So it wasn't any part of the bankruptcy
It was not.
program and that?
But the mandate to enter into the model contracts and develop it was a part of the 1977 litigation, United States versus City of Detroit et al. So to that extent, that really rate simplification arose out of that litigation.
The other question I had was in section Article 6602. Are there any capital costs currently in the system that we would be responsible for if there
Well,
was?
since that would be a customer that, a facility only services that customer. In your case, you have no facilities that only service you. The only customer we currently have that has facilities strictly dedicated to them is the Oakland Macomb Interceptor Drainage District.
So we have no dedicated facility that we have a capital allocation other than whatever our percentage is in the general system?
Well, yeah, but.
Your portion of the common to all charges.
But let's say, 25 years out, mayor and council says, no, we're going to go somewhere else. And we're looking at today's numbers, we would still have an applicable 0.5% or whatever it was.
You would, that's a year-to-year part of your rates. I don't see how, if in 25 years you say we don't want to be part of DWSD, 30th year, you're not part of DWSD.
And there's no, because we have no dedicated facility that had a capital plan that needed to be repaid. Okay. If there are no other questions, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for
We'll
having
let
us.
you go home. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the evening, though, if you'd like.
Definitely
Please
stay
for the vote.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll stay for the vote, for sure.
Well, I'll take a motion from the council at this
So
point.
moved.
Moved by Councilman Hayes, supported by Councilman DeGiulio. Is there any further discussion of the council?
Mayor, I'd just like to ask of both the administrator and Mr. Wilson that they've reviewed the agreement and that that's the recommendation that we approve.
Yes,
The attorney has too.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Correct.
the attorney, correct.
yes.
The attorney's opinion is more, more informative by what he didn't say.
Yeah. Good job.
He said it was written well. But this opinion does not include the analysis of financial terms and rates. That's you two. Okay, you agreed on that. All right. Any other discussion? I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. And then a motion to move our council from the 23rd to the 18th.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman
Support for discussion, Hayes and DeGiulio. I can't be here that night, but I'm sure I'll leave the city in wonderful hands with the other 6 people that are here.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I will be late. Thank you.
Can we make the meeting 6:30? Would that be sufficient, Tina, for you to?
That's fine with me.
Just do it at 6:30, is that
I don't,
fine with everybody?
Fine with me.
Why don't we do that?
Can we,
at the most I'll be is 10, 15 minutes. late,
gentlemen,
so.
can we have it amended to go to 6:30?
Absolutely.
Councilman Hayes, Councilman
Yes.
DeGiulio, we'll make it
Yes.
6:30 PM, okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, the vote, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you. Other business, council, anyone have some discussion they want to bring up?
Yes,
Councilwoman Gavreki.
thank you, Mayor. 1 second. Thank you. On behalf of the Festivities Committee, again, I attended their meeting last week, and they wanted to have the following announcement made. So they want to let you know that they have made some donations. They made a donation of $1,896.18 to purchase a new small arms equipment for our SWAT team. They've donated $2,000 to the CERT group in hope for them to get their repairs done to their truck. They also made donations to the lighted Christmas parade, as well as taking, again, the leftover food down to the Detroit Rescue Mission. So they did want me to share that information with you, so I'm doing that. And also wanted to just remind everybody that there's still time to sign up for CERT. The new classes begin January 8th. They will be at Baker College, and I believe the time is 6 or 6:30 starting. So that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Templin?
I would like to thank the advisory committee for all the work that they've done, and my concern is that they've done a lot of work. They came up with a lot of great ideas. The citizens, there were a number of community meetings. The citizens had a big input on some of the projects that they wanted to see done in Allen Park. My concern is that if this advisory committee is being dissolved, how's the work going to continue? Because I know that, I've heard that some of the stuff's going to get passed on to committees already existing here in town, that a lot of them are overworked. And I know there was discussion amongst the advisory committee that they would be more than happy to continue as a volunteer group. And I hope I'm not speaking out of putting words in their mouth, the committee, but that they wanted to continue to make sure that some of this stuff got done. I can see where, if we could get a volunteer group that could organize some of this work and possibly do fundraising or something like that. There's a lot of little things that could be done that I don't see where all of our groups here in city, like, they mentioned DDA and library commissions and things that I can't see where they've got the time to do some of this stuff. And then we haven't heard from the committees, some of the stuff was turned over to them, but then I haven't heard one way or the other what's happening. And I just hate to see this after a year, 2 years of work, is that now this ball is just not going to get laid down and nothing's going to happen. And I'd like to know, how can we move forward to keep this list that they had a plan that we approved, how can we make sure that some of these projects get done? That would be my comments on it.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could.
Yep, Mayor Pro Tem Keenan.
Well, I would like to thank y'all for coming out tonight specifically, but I also want to thank Lynn Kettlehut and I think Tony Misfit, if I'm assuming. They put together this Downriver Runners event, and like you said, they run on Wednesday nights. You can probably tell from looking at me that I'm not much of a runner, but I did have the opportunity over the last number of years to work with them to help stop traffic and what have you. And that's a great program they put on. And I just really, it's a big effort. Lynn's really made a huge commitment to the city, not only, in giving back gifts, but just the opportunity they have to have that event. Not only does it bring out, like he said, 800 runners, but there's a lot of other community involvement, a lot of businesses that get involved, and that's a great thing, and I want to recognize him. I too want to thank the advisory board for their efforts, and I want to let you know as a community, this Sunday night at 6 o'clock, Intercity Baptist Church down here on Allen Road will be having their Christmas concert. They have a full orchestra, and it's really, really a nice program. It's free. It is really the event for me that lets me know it's Christmas and how busy we are. We tend to forget what day it is, and that's the time that, even though we're out shopping and whatever, So if you're available, 6 o'clock Sunday night at the church there. It is really, really a first-class program, free to everybody to come. And I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope you have a prosperous New Year. Thanks for coming out.
Councilman DiGilio.
I want to thank Mrs. Kibbe for all the stuff she's done on Ecorse Road there. It is beautiful. I even like the fancy lighting, although I'd like to see it all lit up. Last time I drove through there, there's a few lights that aren't lit up. 2? Okay. So, I mean, it does look great, though, and I think even the people that were not for it are really pleased to see what's coming of Ecorse Road. And I was glad to be on the DDA when it first started, when the idea of doing it. And I know we had some of the business owners on Ecorse Road came there and were complaining, and I've actually stopped and talked to a couple of them, and they're not complaining anymore. They may not be perfectly happy because that would make them say that you were right, but they're not complaining anymore. So thank you there, Jennifer.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes, let me try one more time. I try to speak clearly. I may use the odd 3-syllable word now and then, but what I was trying to impart is that on July 23rd, when we met with the group, we were presented with some data, some pie charts, as the gentleman indicates, some stuff like that. The basic elements that could evolve into a plan. Later, we met again at Allen Park High School. I was at both of these events. At the first one, I asked Mr. Stack, Hal Stack, the guy who was appointed, is this a plan? He said, absolutely not. Anybody who was there heard it. And Larry, I know, was saying, well, let's get going on this stuff, which is fine. I agree. Let's get going. But a plan calls for dates, timelines, assigned people. This is totally in flux right now. And all I was saying, and I have no criticism of the membership. In fact, I think I said, and I don't know why it's so difficult, people, I think I enunciate, I think I speak loudly enough. I said I value their service for having done that. All my criticism is that I don't want to see something mislabeled because it's not what's being said. Let me say also that Bob Keenan mentioned the concert at the Inner City. I happened to have gone there last year, and I was really, really impressed. It was quite a compelling. I probably could have done without the little sermon midway through, but you know, we come from different religious persuasions, but that's okay. It was an excellent concert, so I think if you have the opportunity, you should make yourself available to it. Also, I'd like to mention to Mr. Wilson, I know we've heard concerns about the street sweeping. I know that my street has been swept, I think each week since they've been out. It looks cleanest as I can remember it. And I appreciate it because the last couple years, I don't know that we were staffed much differently, but I think we didn't have the same kind of supervision that you're providing, and your leadership is appreciated. I thank you. And with that, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and well, we'll have another chance to say that, but thank you all for coming. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Any other council? Oh, the clerk, please.
I just wanted to address the gentleman that came up here and said that we need to get involved as a community and contact our senators. There is a site, it's the Michigan Municipal League.org. If you go on to mml.org, they have links to our senators, our representatives. They have examples of emails that you can send, and they discuss, you know, many things about protecting the funds of local municipalities. So that would be a good thing for any of us to go on and, you know, search out and connect with that. And I appreciate you bringing that up today. Thank you.
Harry. Councilman Cisco.
Yes, I guess I forgot to raise my hand. Just a couple of things on some comments that were made at the podium is in respect to the gun range. I have inquired about that a number of times, because I'm kind of tired of looking at what it is. And what I've been told is some plans were submitted not so long ago, and they were somewhat rejected because they were insufficient as far as detail goes. So they've now supposedly have gone back and are redoing plans, but at the same time, always in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, sometimes those are stall tactics. So I'm disappointed that building has not gone farther than what it is. So I share Mr. Turner's frustration there. I go down that street quite often. I'm tired of looking at it. And someone had mentioned about the state review team, about how they have comments at the end. But the other part of that is they do have some other regulations involved with that too. You get 2 minutes to speak. You can come up and ask questions. No questions are answered. And before you get up and speak, before the RTAB, you must sign in on a sheet of paper. If your name is not on that sheet of paper, you do not get to get up there and speak. So there are some other variables to that. And Ecorse Road, they're trying to move the orange barrels out of the way, which is great. It's looking really terrific. I do think we have some problems with some businesses on there that are auto-related that need to be addressed. And we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time on making that area look good. And I don't think it's the right of any business to be able to go and try to decide what our ordinances are. To take what we had, which wasn't looking too good, and we've made it look into something much better, to have that regress because of a few businesses. I think we need to really stay on top of that. And to the gentleman that spoke so eloquently about the state and the budget, you know, we have, and I agree, I think on a local level that we should be a little more proactive as far as our government goes about what the state, about what we feel the state should do and not do. You know, there's a couple of proposals for road funding, and one of the road fund proposals is tied into the school funding. And it's projected money. It's not based on real numbers, it's based on projections. And if those projections don't hit where they think, guess what? School funding gets cut. And we should all be very concerned about that. There's two bills, one by the House and one by the Senate. The governor favors the Senate version. The House version is the part that is a little bit shaky about funding for the schools. So I think as all of us as citizens, and we want to keep our school systems strong and viable, that we need to be a little more proactive. And I know we have students in the audience that you should be proactive also as students. You should be out there giving your voice, sending your letters, sending your emails to all those representatives, whether they're in our district or not. You should be sending out those things. It affects you and all the people that come behind you, and it affects the future of this city, because part of the future of our city is tied into our school system. People come here to go to our schools. So, and the advisory committee, I want to thank them for all the hard work they've done. They've done, devoted a lot of time and effort, and they should be praised for that. They didn't ask for any praise, but I'd like to praise them for that, for all the hard work they did. And on that, even though we have another meeting coming up, everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a safe one. And let's make sure that all our municipal employees are also safe during these holidays too, in the work that they have to do over time. So thank you all.
Clerk Missy.
I'll be quick. I just want to remind people, because we're getting close to that time, my office is doing the Toys for Tot program. So anyone at home or in the audience, if you have any, you could go to Five and Under or any of those stores, pick up a toy and throw it in the Toys for Tots box. I am in competition with the police and fire department. They have Toys for Tot boxes, but bring it to mine. Mine's cooler. So, anyways, touchdown on the gentleman from Reek Road, not to repeat too many things, but they've been cutting our state shared revenue since, I want to say, the year 2000. Now, the funny part is when that was first proposed, the sky was falling. It's the end of the world. And some people said it was no big deal. They're only going to take a little bit and that's it. Well, I should have listened to the sky is falling people, because if you go back to, I want to say it was 2000 to, I forgot the years, but it's literally millions of dollars of state shared revenue. It's sad. So if we can do anything as a community, we really should. The treasurer mentioned the mml.org website. That is a fabulous, website. So I just want to say that. And also on a side note, I gotta recognize the advisory committee. And I kind of had a chuckle because I counted at least 5 people sitting out there that when I first started coming to meetings sat up here and I sat back there. So it was nice to see a lot of those faces. You have a ton of good people. If you look at Mr. Pretty alone, his father was, I believe, the postmaster, city clerk. It's just amazing how many people were in that group. And Mr. Horvath's family's been here for all of them. So I'd just like to give them a big thank you and thank all of you for coming out tonight. God bless you and good night.
Just a couple of comments. Want to thank the students for coming out. I guess you guys drew the short straw. You got the little longer meeting tonight, but I think there were a lot of different things that went on, and hopefully you found some interest in them. There are 2 bills pending on road improvements. As I understand from our DPS director, after general maintenance and lighting and sweeping and snow plowing and that, we only have under $400,000 to handle road improvements. The Senate bill changes around. Act 51 under the gas tax gave us 19 cents to the state on all the gasoline, and then there was a payment, and we get, I think, about $1.6 million roughly of that 19 cents. The Senate bill turns around and says we're going to put the wholesale tax in 8.5 cents, but it's dedicated to the cities and townships. And I like dedicated taxes. As everybody has said, if your money comes from the general fund of the state, they have a way of moving those numbers around depending on what their needs are. With this change, it would increase by almost double the amount of money that we would get. And the way they're going to hold down the gas tax, as I understand it, is they'll take the sales tax that they have hidden inside how we pay for our gas at the station. There is the 6 cent sales tax is embedded in there. And that would come out. And that's the big, where the people are saying, well, then we're going to take the money away from the schools. I think in the short term, the amount of money that would come to us wouldn't be as great an increase as the removal of the 6 cents. But the state does have a surplus at this point, and I think they can make the transition and look at it. I'm not in favor of sales taxes in any event. I think they hurt the people who are least able to deal with them. So they'll just have to look around for some other system. But I don't think a sales tax in on the gas tax is a particularly good idea in the first place. We're one of just about 6 states that has a sales tax on our gasoline. And for a state that makes its money basically selling automobiles and trucks, sales taxes on the gasoline is to me a cost to to all of us. So with that, I'm going to ask for an adjournment.
Motion?
Motion by Councilman DiGiulio. Need a support from the right.
Support.
Support by... All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We're adjourned at 8:10.